Hi, I'm Sarah Forster here at The National, and this is A Closer Look, our chance to give you a bit of a deep dive into one of our stories from this week as we talk directly to the reporter. Now, one of the biggest stage shows in the world has finally landed here in the Emirates. The Lion King has opened in Abu Dhabi, and we sent our reporter Anjana Sankar down to the press preview to see exactly what it takes to put on a production of this size.
One of the biggest Broadway musicals of all time, The Lion King, has come to Abu Dhabi. I'm here at the Etihad Arena to get a behind-the-scenes peek into what goes into the making of a jaw-dropping musical of this scale. Let's find out.
It wasn't because you got into a fight with your brother?
Yes, we don't like to talk about that, Julie, because it makes me weak.
The audience is invited not just to hear a story, follow a...
Now leading all communication.
Well, Anjana has raced back to the office to have a chat with me. You've literally just been down at the press conference,
yes,
having a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at what we can expect from this incredible show that's going to be running here in Abu Dhabi. Tell me a bit more about what, literally what you've just seen.
One of the most loved shows has come to Abu Dhabi, and it was exciting to be in Abu Dhabi Arena to get a behind-the-scenes peek into how do they make such a musical production of this scale. So we met the director, Julie Taymor, today, and she gave us a small presentation basically telling us how do they use puppets in the show. And if you are not aware, there are around 400 to 500 animals that are depicted on stage as puppets. So we saw a cheetah, we saw a cluster of gazelles, and also we saw a Scar, the very important character in The Lion King. He was scary. He had a corset made of beads, which looked very natural, and a kind of a leather attire. Very scary.
Too scary for kids?
I don't think so.
No, it's okay.
I don't think so.
Okay,
yeah, don't worry. And I have to tell you about the gazelles, because I think that is one thing which really struck me, because what they will try to do, if anybody has watched Lion King before, there's a whole wildlife of Africa that will come to life on stage. So how do you do that? So that is what the director was explaining to us, and through that puppet, she called it a corporate puppet, where there's a woman who's running a chariot, and as she moves it, there is not just one gazelle, there are like half a dozen of them. So you get a feeling that half a dozen gazelles are leaping on stage. So imagine a few of them together on the stage, and there are scenes like a stampede in the forest. How do you show all of that on stage? So that's what exactly she was showing, how she lifted a screenplay, a very popular Disney screenplay, and transformed it into a very successful theater.
So this is what you saw earlier. Like you said, the director, Julie Taymor, she was chatting. Is there anything she said that stuck out in your mind?
She told us a lot of interesting things, and we were sitting there, starry-eyed, like the same way I watched the movie first time. What struck me was, she said, over the last 24 years where the show has been going around across the world, successfully running in different cities, they haven't changed much. The script, the techniques they're using, except that new characters will come in, the new actors will come in, and they add their own character into what they are portraying on stage. Other than that, almost everything remains the same. I thought that was very striking, and maybe that's one of the reasons why this still remains super successful and one of the much loved shows in the world.
It sounds like they have a winning formula anyway, isn't it? And
yeah,
why change it if it's not broken? So
exactly.
This is the first time that it's coming to the Middle East, this particular show. How do you think it's going to be received by audiences here?
It is already super successful
It's
show.
already been received.
It's already been well received,
yeah.
Overwhelmingly well received. And the organizers were telling us today that in the next 3.5 weeks, they will have a total of 29 shows, and more than 60,000 people are expected to watch these shows. And because it was so popular, they have extended it to extra 5 days. So people who couldn't buy tickets, there's a chance that you can still go and buy tickets for those extra 5 days. Anywhere in the world, the story of the Lion King, the story of Simba, the small cub who had to go through a lot of challenges and then come of age to become a king. It strikes a chord with people anywhere, whether you're watching it in London or in Abu Dhabi. So, I'm looking forward to see it this week when I go and see the show.
So the story appeals to almost every culture, which is handy because we have almost every culture here in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what the organizers said when they, after the pandemic, they had a break during the pandemic, and when they decided which city to show, they thought Abu Dhabi, a very diverse, vibrant city where, as you said, people from all over the world, and that universality in the messaging of the Lion King, the story and the plot, they thought Abu Dhabi will be a great place to show it, and it will be well received. That's what the organizers said today.
Well, thank you so much, Anjana. It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic show. It sounds like it already is a fantastic show. And I'm sure many people watching this who are going to go and see it will have the best time ever. That's it for a closer look this week. Don't forget, next week, Nick and I are going to be in Doha capturing all the magic from the start of the World Cup in Qatar 2022. So if you want to see what it's like over there, make sure to tune in.